Hi, I'm Corey Osuna. Together, we are going to make this lovely face mask. So why don't you go on ahead, set yourself up at your machine, and let's get started. You'll notice on the left and right sides of your mask, there are notches. I'm going to start on the right side. So I've actually started by marking them with red, but then I went back on the right side to mark it with black so that I can be sure to see it. My eyes needed a little bit more help. So on the right side, you'll see those darker notches. The first notch goes to the third. The second notch is on the inside. That's where the fold is for our pleat. So bring notch 1 to notch number 3. Hold that in place and give it a good press. I'm pressing, as you'll notice, on the right side of the pleat, not across the entire mask. This is just to get started. Now we're going to bring the fourth notch to the sixth. The fifth is going to be on the inside. Hold that in place with your fingers. Remember, notch 5 is on the inside. And this is our second pleat. Give it a good press. Again, I'm pressing on the far right side, only not across the entire length. And that's just so that I can be sure to get the notches in great order. Sometimes if you press all the way across, the left side ends up being a little bit crooked. So I'm going to start on the edges to make sure everything is lined up really well. And once I've sewn everything down, then I'll be able to press across the entire thing. All right, let's move on to the next step. Here we are at the machine. The needle has been lowered. We're going to sew forward and then back, and then all the way across both pleats, adding another back stitch at the end, forward and back. Raise the needle, lift that presser foot lever, and pull your fabric and cut. Now we are going to take a look at our Staystitch. It was a stitch that was right at the very edge so that it won't be seen when we wear it, but it does help to hold the pleats in place while we're sewing. Repeat this process for the opposite side. Now that we've stitched both sides, it's time to press. Take a good look at that. That Staystitch is in place on both sides. Very close to that edge so it can hide in the seam allowance. Give each side a good press. And it's time to move on. Now that we've sewn the left and right side so our pleats are in place, it's time to zigzag the edges. Place your fabric under the presser foot so that it's lined up in the center of the presser foot. Sew 2 or 3 stitches forward and back, and then all the way down the side, and add another back stitch at the bottom. Repeat the same thing for the other side. Here's what that looks like. That zigzag wraps around the edges of your mask so that you can toss it in the washer and it won't fall apart. Now let's zigzag the opposite 2 edges. Line your fabric up so that it's in the center of the presser foot. Lower the needle. Stitch a few stitches forward and back. Now go all the way down to the very bottom. Remember, you're keeping your eye at the center of the presser foot to make sure the fabric stays there. It's to the left of our guide. Add in that back stitch and repeat for the opposite side. Let's get ready to sew the casing at the top edge. We're simply going to fold the top edge down and then we will stitch so that we can insert our pipe cleaner. So here I am at the ironing station. All of my edges have been zigzagged. And now I'm folding down that top edge so that I can stitch at the bottom of my fold. But where's the bottom? Remember that the pleats are going to face downward. So as you look at your mask, be sure that your pleats are facing downward, just like this. So now I'm sure this is my top edge. I'm going to fold it with the wrong side facing me, a good 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to press it. Give it a good amount of steam. Now I can press the whole mask because everything has been sewn in place. And I can head to the sewing machine. So here I have folded and pressed my top edge. Now I'm going to stitch it at the bottom so that I have room to insert my pipe cleaner. I'm going to place my guide so that I can have a nice straight edge. Lower the needle. Go on ahead and do your forward and back for your back stitch, and then continue all the way down and do a back stitch at the end. So now I have my pipe cleaner, and I'm simply going to fold about 2 inches back on each end so that the pointed edges don't poke me and poke through the mask, and also to make the entire length of our pipe cleaner shorter than our mask. We need room to sew the straps on the left and right side, so the pipe cleaner has to be shorter. Now we open the casing edge and insert the pipe cleaner. It's also easier to insert when the edges have been folded back as well. So maybe that's 3 purposes. So make sure your pipe cleaner goes in all the way. And once you have it in, check to make sure that the pipe cleaner is centered so that you have an even amount on the left and right edges to sew your straps. So we want to center that pipe cleaner. This is really coming along. Now we are going to fold the hem. This is going to be 1/4 of an inch, so it's not as big as our casing. We're simply going to fold it back 1/4 of an inch, press, and then stitch it down. Place your fabric, lower the presser foot, add your guide if necessary, sink your needle. That means turning that wheel towards you so the needle goes down. Couple stitches forward, couple stitches back. Line the fabric up against the edge of your guide. Sew all the way to the very end. And of course, add another back stitch. Give that stitch at the bottom a quick press, and then we'll be moving on. This is so cool. You're almost there. Take your strap, lay it on your ironing surface, and fold in half lengthwise. Give it a really good press. Do this for the entire length of the strap. Make sure you push that steam button so that the crease in the center holds. Now open your strap and looking at the crease in the center, fold the right edge to the center crease and press again. Make sure you give a little bit of steam and do this through the entire length of your strap. Now we simply turn our strap around and do the same thing to the opposite side. So we are pressing the other edge to the center crease. This continues for the full length of the strap. Ah, the pressing of the strap continues. Now we are going to fold in half the entire length of our strap and press it once again, giving us a very clean finish for our strap. Clean finish means there are no edges that are raw. And this is a very commonly used technique in the fashion industry. If you think about it, really, the iron is doing most of the work. Once we finish this round of pressing, we will simply head to the machine and stitch it down. Repeat this process for the second strap. Place your strap under the presser foot, making sure that the strap is not on the edge of the presser foot, but slightly to the left. You can also add the guide if you like. As you sew, you do your back stitch in the beginning, and then you continue down. Let's have a closer look. Can you see how the strap is slightly to the left of that presser foot? And once you've placed your strap in the right position, then of course you can add that guide. Continue stitching the full length of the strap. And once again, make sure to add your back stitch at the end. Now for the ends, we fold twice and press. Make sure to give it some steam. And let's head to the sewing table. So now we've folded our ends back twice and pressed. It's time to stitch it down. We're simply going to do a tack stitch in the center. Lower that needle, stitch forward and back a few times. Right in the center of that strap, you don't have to go from edge to edge. This tack stitch can be right in the center. Let's take a good look. You can see we have our tack stitch right in the center. And now, of course, it's time to give it a good press. You'll repeat this process for both straps and for the ends on each strap. Now this is the moment you've been waiting for. It's time to sew our strap to the mask. Simply fold your strap in half and put a pin. Do the same for the mask. So grab the ends of your strap, put them together, and hold until you can find the center. Just continue along the entire length of the strap, just like this, and you'll find your center. You can mark that with a pin and do the same for the mask itself. Take your mask and on the right and left sides, fold it in half. Those are the sides where we have our pleats, and mark that with a pin. Now we simply lay the mask down on our ironing surface and we unfold the strap, place it on top of the mask, matching the pins. So now we can remove our pins from the center and place them on the right and the left, connecting the strap to the mask exactly at the center point. This is getting exciting. You're almost going to be ready to sew it. Notice that the edge of the strap is higher than the edge of the mask. This is intentional. So be sure your edge of your strap is about 1/8 of an inch higher than the edge of your mask. Of course, because we want to conceal the edges of our mask. Let's head to the machine. So here we are at the sewing table. We've pinned our strap to our mask so that the strap is higher, about 1/8 of an inch higher than the edge of our mask, concealing that zigzagged edge of the mask. And now we're simply going to straight stitch across so we can connect the strap to the mask. Go on ahead and place your guide. Turn the wheel towards you so the needle goes down. Forward and back for your back stitch, then continue across the entire length of your mask. I'm removing pins, but sometimes you can sew over them as well. It's always safe to remove them though. Back stitch at the end. And you have completed sewing your first strap to your mask. Cut all the thread and repeat this entire process for the other side of your mask. Let's take a good look at what you've done. Okay, now go hurry. Sew the strap on the other side. I can't even wait to see your finished product. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, your face mask came out so great. Well done. I super love it. You should be really proud of yourself. I'd love to interact with you and hear and see some of what you've been up to. I can be reached on Instagram at Koriosuna. Until we meet again for our next project, happy sewing.